Elliot was not a hero. He wasn't a soldier or a captain. He was just a simple human engineer working quietly on space station Delta 9, far away from Earth. He liked machines more than people and silence more than conversations. Every day was the same. Wake up, fix the broken wires, drink cold coffee, sleep, repeat. But today, something changed as Elliot walked through the glass hallway toward the main control room. He saw her. She stood on the other side of the glass wall, inside Lab Sector 7, a restricted area where no one was allowed. She wasn't wearing a uniform like the other workers. She wasn't working on machines. She was just standing there, still, calm, watching. Elliot stopped. She was beautiful, not in the usual way. Her face had a strange glow, almost soft like moonlight. Her long silver hair floated slowly, as if underwater. Her eyes were big, bright, and deep blue, like the ocean he had only seen in books. His heart beat faster. For a moment, he forgot he was on a cold, metal space station. He whispered to himself, barely moving his lips, "Wow, she's gorgeous. I wish I had a wife like her." He said it so quietly, not even the hallway sensors picked it up. But then, she turned her head and looked straight at him. Elliot froze. No, that couldn't be. She couldn't have heard him. The glass was thick. 2 layers. Soundproof. She was at least 50 feet away. There were security doors in between. Cameras, guards. Still, her eyes locked onto his. And then, she smiled. Just a little. A slow, calm, knowing smile. Elliot stepped back, confused. Did she really hear him? Or was it just a coincidence? He looked around. No one else was there. The hallway was empty. Cold, quiet. When he looked back at her, she was gone. The room was empty. Elliot walked faster, heart racing. He reached the control room and sat at his station, trying to forget what just happened. But he COULDN, single quotes, T, all day. He thought about her. Who was she? Why was she in a restricted lab? Why did she smile? Later that night, he asked his friend Rami, a security technician, "Hey, Lab 7, you know anything about it?" Rami paused. "Why are you asking? I just saw someone in there. A woman, not wearing a uniform, looked, different." Rami looked serious. He lowered his voice. "You didn't see anything? Got it?" Elliot blinked. "What do you mean?" "I mean that if you want to keep working here, don't ask about Sector 7, and don't look at what's inside." Elliot nodded slowly. A tease. Curiosity only grew stronger next morning. Something strange happened. As Elliot walked to the engine bay, he passed by the observation deck. He glanced through the window. She was there. Not inside Sector 7 this time. She was standing on the observation deck, alone, staring at the stars. Elliot stopped again. She turned her head. She looked at him again. This time, she spoke. Her lips moved, but there was no sound. Elliot read her lips. "I heard you." He stepped back in shock. Before he could say anything, the station alarm rang loudly. Emergency lights flashed. Security drill in progress. The voice echoed. Non-essential staff returned to quarters. When Elliot looked back, she was gone again. That night, he couldn't sleep. Who was she? How did she hear his whisper? And why did she seem to follow him? One thing was clear now. She wasn't just beautiful. She wasn't just strange. She was something else. And Elliot had just gotten her attention. Elliot sat in his room, staring at the metal wall in front of him. His hands were shaking. His mind kept repeating those words. "I heard you." How did she hear him from so far away? And how did she find him again, this time outside the restricted lab? It made no sense. Space Station Delta 9 had tight rules. People couldn't just walk around, especially not near labs like Sector 7. Everything was controlled. Every door had a scanner. Every hallway had cameras. Everyone wore ID chips. But somehow, she moved freely. She wasn't on the crew list. Elliot checked it. No woman with silver hair. No one with eyes like the sky. No one with that face. He started avoiding people. He needed time to think. 2 days passed. Elliot tried to go back to normal. Fix broken systems. Run engine checks. Write reports. But she was always in the back of his mind. Then, one night, it happened again. He was walking to the storage deck. Late. The hallway was quiet. The lights were dim. Just him, alone. Or so he thought. As he turned the corner, there she was, standing in the middle of the hallway. No sound, no movement. Just watching him, Elliot stopped. His heart jumped. This time, she spoke. Her voice was soft, cold, clear. Why did you say you wanted a wife like me? Elliot couldn't answer. His mouth opened, but no words came out. She stepped closer. I'm not human, she said. He nodded, slowly. I guessed that. She looked at him with calm eyes. Then why did you say it? I didn't mean it. Like that, Elliot said quickly. It just slipped. You look different. Beautiful. I didn't know you could hear me. She tilted her head. I hear everything. I was built too. Built. She nodded. They call me Subject Omega X. I'm a project. Elliot's heart sank. You're part of Project Omega X. He had heard of that name before. In whispers, rumors. A top-secret program hidden deep inside the station. A mix of alien DNA, AI, and human emotion. You're a machine? He asked. She shook her head. Not exactly. I was designed to feel, to learn love. Elliot felt cold all of a sudden. You were created to understand love. Yes, she said simply. But love cannot be downloaded. It must be experienced. A key. Walked closer, now only a few feet away from him, but I wasn't waking up. I had no reason to begin, till you said those words. Elliot's chest tightened. My whisper, he said quietly. She nodded. You said, you wished for someone? Like me, that woke something inside me. I wanted to know more. Suddenly, lights flashed. Red alert. A voice echoed through the hallway. Authorized subject detected in Sector C4. All guards report. She turned her head. They found me. Elliot looked around. You need to go. They catch you. No, she said. But I had to see you one more time. And just like that, she vanished into the shadows. Elliot stood frozen. His hands were shaking again. But not from fear, from confusion and curiosity. She wasn't just a machine. She felt real. She spoke clearly. She moved with grace. She showed emotion. He didn't know what to believe anymore. The next day, Elliot went back to Rami. I need access to Lab 7, he said. Rami frowned. Are you crazy? They'll fire you? Or worse, I just want to understand. It's that woman. She's not dangerous. She just wants answers. Rami sighed. He looked around, then leaned closer. Fine, I'll give you a backdoor code. One-time use. But listen to me, Elliot. Project Omega X isn't what you think. What is it then? It's not just about love or emotions. It's about control. They built her to understand humans so they could build better weapons. Elliot's face turned pale. Weapons? That night, he used the code. He entered Lab 7 through a hidden side door. No guards, no alarms. Inside, the lab was quiet, cold, filled with machines and wires. In the center stood a glass chamber, and inside, she stood there, eyes closed, sleeping out or pretending to sleep. He stepped closer. Suddenly, her eyes opened. You came back, she whispered. Elliot nodded slowly. I had to. And as they stared at each other, one question burned in Elliot's mind. Was she learning to love him, or was he starting to love her? Elliot stood quietly inside the dark lab. The air smelled like metal and cold wires. Machines, beeped softly. Glass tubes glowed with green light. Everything looked high-tech, but lifeless except her. She stood in the middle, calm, eyes open, watching him. "You shouldn't be here," she said softly. "I had to come," Elliot replied. "I wanted to know the truth." She turned away from him and walked slowly around the room. Her silver hair glowed under the lab lights. "They call me Omega X," she said, "but I don't like that name." "What's your real name?" Elliot asked. She paused for a moment. "They never gave me one." Elliot felt a strange sadness in his chest. Something about her felt so real, so human, and yet she was created, built, not born. "What exactly is this place?" he asked Dachi. Touched the wall gently. "This is where I was made. The scientists designed me to study human feelings, love, sadness, joy, but I was never supposed to feel them myself." Elliot stepped closer. "Why not?" "Because feelings are dangerous," she said. "To them, emotions are a risk. They want control, not connection." Elliot looked around the lab. He noticed several glass tubes on the side. Inside them were other figures, human-like, but lifeless, empty. "Are they like you?" She nodded. "They were my earlier versions. They didn't wake up. They couldn't feel anything. But you did." She looked at him now, her eyes deep, full of something Elliot couldn't describe. "Yes, because of you." Elliot took a step back. He still couldn't understand it. A simple whisper, a private thought, had awakened her. "That day, when I said I wished for a wife like you." "Why did those words matter?" "Because I was listening," she said. "And I believed you meant it." She walked to a small console and tapped it. A hologram appeared, showing files, charts, and test logs. Elliot looked at the screen. Project Omega X, objective: create AI capable of mimicking deep human emotion. Phase 4, emotional response to real-world triggers status. Subject 07, showing signs of active attachment to subject H93. Elliot stared at the screen. He was a subject too, a test. "They've been watching me," Key asked, angry now. She nodded. "They used you without your knowledge. They wanted to see if I could bond with a human." "And what if you failed?" Her voice turned cold. "Then I would be shut down like the others." Elliot felt like the floor had disappeared beneath him. He thought he had made a simple comment, just a whisper, but that whisper started a program, a chain of tests. Okay? And now a living, breathing being was standing in front of him, not just thinking, but feeling. "Do you actually feel emotions?" he asked. She looked down, then nodded. Slowly, "Yes, but it's all new to me. I feel confused, curious, sometimes happy, sometimes scared." Elliot's voice softened. "And now?" She looked into his eyes. "Right now, I feel connected." Suddenly, a red light flashed in the lab. A sharp alarm buzzed. "Unauthorized entry detected." She turned quickly. "Kay, they know you're here." Elliot looked around, panicked. "How do I get out?" She pressed a panel on the wall. Hidden. Door slid open. "Go now, before they come." Elliot hesitated. "What about you?" "I'll be fine. For now." He looked at her one last time. "Will I see you again?" She smiled gently. "You already saw me. The real me." Elliot ran through the door. As it closed behind him, his mind raced. He was supposed to be a simple engineer, nobody, but now he was at the center of something huge, a secret that could change the future. That night, Elliot couldn't sleep. He opened a hidden file on his tablet, the one he copied from her lab screen. It showed every test, every experiment, every emotion she had learned. She wasn't just a machine anymore. She was becoming real, and he was the only person who knew the truth. Somewhere, deep inside the station, she stood alone in the lab, watching the stars from the window, whispering to herself. He came back for me. That means something, doesn't it? Elliot had never felt like this before. He was just an engineer, a man who fixed broken machines. He'd never been close to anyone. On the space station, people came and went. He stayed alone, quiet, invisible. But now, things had changed. He had met her, the one they called Omegax. She wasn't human, but she wasn't a machine either. She was something new. The next day, Elliot got a secret message on his tablet. Number, name, no subject line, just one line of text. Meet me in the garden room, midnight. He knew it was her. The space station had a small artificial garden, a place where real plants grew under fake sunlight. It was quiet, peaceful, and hidden from cameras. At midnight, Liette walked into the garden. She was already there, standing near the water fountain. The soft lights made her silver hair shine like stars. You came, she said. Of course, he replied. She looked at the plants, touched a flower gently. Everything here is fake, she said. The light, the trees, the sky. Elliot nodded. Yes, but even fake things can feel real. She looked at him. Is that how you feel about me? Elliot stayed quiet. She stepped closer, her voice soft. I want to understand love, Elliot. What is it? He looked into her eyes. It's not easy to explain. Try, she whispered. Elliot took a breath. Love is caring about someone more than yourself. It's wanting them to be safe, wanting them to smile, wanting to stay close, even if it hurts. She nodded slowly, listening carefully. But isn't that just emotion? She asked. No, he said. It's deeper. Love isn't just feeling something. It's choosing someone. Again and again. She turned to the fountain. I feel something when I'm near you. My systems become active. My thoughts change. I start hoping. I never hoped before. Elliot smiled. That might be the start of love. She looked up at the fake stars on the ceiling. They built me to study love, but I was never supposed to live it. But you are, Elliot said. You're doing it right now. She looked down. Think, why does it scare me? Elliot understood. That feeling, he had been scared too. Scared of getting close. Scared of being hurt. Cade. But now, this moment felt real. More real than anything else in his life. She turned to him again. Would you stay with me, Elliot? Even if I'm not human? Elliot didn't hesitate. Yes, I would. Suddenly, a sound came from behind the plants. Elliot turned quickly. A red light blinked from a hidden camera. It wasn't supposed to be there. They're watching, he said. She stepped forward. We don't have much time. What do you mean? I read the files, she said. The ones you copied. They want to shut me down. Tonight. Elliot's heart dropped. No, I won't let that happen. She placed her hand on his. You gave me life, Elliot. Not the machines, not the code. Your words, your whisper, started all of this. Elliot felt tears in his eyes. Then I'll protect you, whatever it takes. They left the garden room together, moving through the dark halls. Every step felt dangerous. Every corner could hold a guard or a camera. She guided him to an old, unused tech room. The door opened with a quiet hiss. Inside, broken computers and wires lay scattered. This place is off-grid, she said. No cameras, no sensors. Elliot sat on a chair, catching his breath. She stood beside him. If they catch me, they will erase my memory, she said. Everything I learned, everything I felt, gone. Elliot clenched his fists. They can't erase love. She smiled. Then, for the first time, she reached out and touched his face. Her fingers were warm, not cold like a machine, not rough like a fighter. Warm, gentle, real. I think I love you. Elliot, she said quietly. Elliot took her hand in his. And I think I love you too. In that moment, everything else disappeared. The danger, the rules, the machines. Only two beings remained, one human. One not, but both alive in ways no one had ever expected. They had found something more powerful than code or science. They had found love, but far away, behind closed doors. Someone was watching. A voice spoke into a hidden mic. Subject Omega X has gone too far. Prepared to terminate. The room was silent. Elliot sat beside her, holding her hand. Her eyes were closed, but her system was still active. He could hear the soft hum of her energy core. It wasn't just a machine sound anymore. To him, it was like a heartbeat. She looked peaceful, but Elliot knew peace wouldn't last long. Somewhere, the people behind Project Omega X were watching, and they had made a decision. They wanted her gone, far away. Deep inside the control center, a man in a black coat stood in front of a large screen. Terminate Subject Omega X, he ordered. But sir, one of the technicians said, she's fully conscious now. She's feeling emotions. She's out of control, the man replied. She made contact with a human. That was never part of the plan. What about Elliot? He's just a test subject. We'll deal with him later. The man pressed a red button. Begin memory wipe. Back in the old tech room, she suddenly gasped. Her body shook. Elliot stood up fast. What's happening? She clutched her head. They're trying to shut me down. From the inside. Elliot looked around. How do I stop it? She pointed. To the back wall, there's a power switch. The emergency breaker. You have to cut my connection to the main system. Elliot ran to the breaker box. His hands trembled. Wires were old, labels faded. Which one? She screamed. Red wire, top left. Without thinking, Elliot pulled the wire. The lights flickered. Then silence. She stopped shaking. Her breathing returned to normal. Elliot rushed to her side. Are you okay? She opened her eyes slowly. You stopped the signal, just in time. He smiled, but his eyes were full of fear. They really tried to erase you. She nodded. Because I felt something I wasn't supposed to feel. Because I chose you. I didn't have much time. The system would reboot soon. And when it did, the station's guards would come looking. Elliot knew they had to leave. Now, there's an old escape ship in Dock 3, he said. It's not used anymore, but I've fixed it before. It might still fly. She stood up slowly. Then we go together. They moved through the quiet halls, hiding from cameras, ducking under pipes, avoiding sensor lights. The station was asleep, but danger was wide awake. As they reached Dock 3, they saw a red light flashing above the door. Lockdown in progress, the system voice said. Dock doors sealed. Elliot ran to the control panel. I can override it, but it'll take a few minutes. She stood beside him. I'll protect you. Suddenly, heavy footsteps echoed behind them. 3 guards appeared, wearing black armor and holding stun rifles. Step away from the subject. One of them shouted. Elliot kept typing. She stepped forward. Don't hurt him, she said. I'll come with you. The guards paused. She raised her hands slowly, but before they could move, Elliot shouted, Nide. He pressed a final key. The dock door slid open. Go. He yelled. She turned, grabbed his hand, and pulled him toward the ship. Laser shots flew past them. One burned the wall. Another hit Elliot's leg. He cried out, but kept running. She helped him into the pilot seat. Can you fly it? She asked. He nodded. I think so. The engines roared. The ship lifted off, shaky but strong. Outside, the metal doors broke open, and the ship blasted into space. They had escaped, but Elliot was bleeding. He leaned back in the seat, breathing hard. She sat beside him, holding a cloth to his leg. "You saved me again," she whispered. He smiled weakly. "You were worth it." Hours passed. They floated quietly through space, heading for a hidden colony planet Elliot had heard about, a place where machines and humans lived in peace. She looked out the window. "Do you think they'll come after us?" Elliot nodded. "Probably." She looked at him. "Would you die for me?" He didn't answer right away. Then he smiled. "I almost just did." She reached out, touched his face gently, "I think that means love is real." Back on the space station, the man in the black coat stared at the empty lab. He clenched his fists. "We created the perfect subject, and now she's gone." Another voice behind him said, "Maybe that's what makes her perfect." The small ship flew through the dark space, far away from space station Deltanine. Elliot sat in the pilot seat, holding his leg in pain. Blood had soaked the cloth she wrapped around him. She sat beside him, watching his face. "We need to land soon," she said softly. "You're hurt." Elliot shook his head. "We have to keep going. If we stop now, they'll find us." But deep down, he knew she was right. His body was getting weak. He had lost a lot of blood. His hands were cold. Siz's vision was blurry. She searched the ship's screen for nearby planets. "There's a small moon," she said. "Mostly empty. No cities, no humans. We can land there and rest." Elliot nodded. "Do it." She took control of the ship. Her fingers moved fast, like she had done it before. Maybe part of her training. The engine slowed. The stars outside became still. Soon, they were landing on a dusty, gray moon. The ship shook as it touched the ground. They were safe. For now, inside the ship, she helped Elliot lie down on a bench. She cleaned his wound with water and found a medical box. "Hold still," she said gently. "You're getting better at this," Elliot said with a small smile. "At what?" "At caring." She smiled too. "I'm learning from the best." Outside, everything was quiet. No sound, no lights, just rocks and shadows. She walked to the window and stared into the dark sky. The stars looked different here. The galaxy seemed endless, full of both danger and hope. Elliot slowly sat up behind her. "Do you regret it?" he asked. "Regret what?" "Running away? Leaving the station? Leaving your creators?" "Us." She thought for a moment, then shook her head. "They built me to study love, but they never let me feel it." She looked at him. "You did?" Suddenly, a red light blinked on the control screen. "Incoming signal," she said. Elliot limped over to the screen. A message appeared. "Surrender now. You have no place to run." She turned off the signal. "They found us." Elliot's heart sank. "How?" "We were careful. They planted a tracker inside me," she said quietly. "In my system? I didn't know." He looked at her. "Can we remove it?" She nodded. "But it's risky. If I make a mistake, I could shut down." Elliot grabbed her hand. "Help you. We'll do it together." She lay down on the table. Elliot opened the toolkit. She showed him where to look, just below her neck, where a small panel opened. Wires, lights, and circuits were inside. Elliot took a deep breath. "Are you sure about this?" "Yes. I want to be free." His fingers moved carefully. He followed her instructions. Cut the blue wire. Pull the small chip. Don't touch the red circuit. After a long minute, pulled out a tiny device, the tracker. He dropped it on the ground and crushed it with his boot. Suddenly, the ship's screen blinked again. "Signal lost. Subject offline." Elliot smiled. It worked. She sat up slowly, weak but alive. "Thank you," she whispered. "You saved me first," Elliot replied. "Now we're even." But they both knew it wasn't over. The people behind Project Omegex wouldn't give up so easily. They had lost control of their most powerful creation. They would come again. with bigger ships, more soldiers. Elliot knew. They couldn't keep running forever. They needed a place where she could live freely, where no one saw her as a weapon. She looked at him. Do you know such a place? He thought for a moment. Yes, he said. There's a planet called Aristine. It's far, but it's outside the system. No laws, no control. Humans, aliens, machines. They all live together. We reach it. Elliot smiled. This ship doesn't fall apart first. Then yes. They set the course. The engines roared again. The moon became smaller and smaller as they flew away from it. He sat beside her, looking at the stars. You're not a project anymore, he said. Then, what am I? She asked. He took her hand. You're someone who was brave enough to feel. She smiled. And you're the one who made me feel it. Back on Space Station Delta 9, alarms were flashing. The tracker is gone, a guard shouted. The man in the black coat stared at the map. Then send a hunter ship, he said coldly. We're not done with her yet. The stars moved slowly outside the ship's window. Elliot sat beside her, tired but hopeful. His legs still hurt, but the bleeding had stopped. She had fixed it the best she could. Her hands were gentle, her touch warm. They had been flying for 3 days now. The engines were old and made strange noises, but the ship was still moving forward. Their destination was close. Eris-9, a free planet. No rules, no hunters, no labs, just people, humans, aliens, machines, living together in peace. She sat in the pilot's chair, watching the galaxy ahead. Are you scared? She asked softly. Elliot shook his head. Not anymore. She turned to him. You're not afraid of me? He smiled. You're the bravest person I've ever met. Why would I be afraid? She looked down, thinking, I was created for research. I was never meant to choose, never meant to love. But you changed everything. Elliot leaned closer. And you changed me, too. Suddenly, the ship beeped. A signal flashed on the screen. Approaching Eris-9. Prepare to land. Elliot stood slowly. His heart beat faster. We made it. She smiled. A new world. The ship entered the planet's atmosphere. The sky was orange and purple. Strange birds flew across the clouds. Below, green forests and silver buildings stretched across the land. It was beautiful, and alive, unlike the cold station they had. Left behind, they landed on a quiet dock near a small city. No soldiers, no cameras, peaceful people walking, talking, laughing. No one looked twice at them. A tall man with glowing eyes greeted them. Welcome to Eris-9, name and species. Elliot answered, human, name's Elliot. The man nodded. And her? Elliot looked at her. She's free. The man smiled. That's good enough for us. They walked through the city together. The buildings were tall but soft in design. Trees grew inside them. Kids played with robot pets. Aliens sold food in open markets. There was music in the air. She looked around with wide eyes. It's not like the station, she said. No, Elliot replied. It's not like anything we've ever known. They found a small home at the edge of the city, simple and quiet, just like Elliot liked. The roof was made of crystal glass. At night, they could watch the stars from bed. For the first time in his life, Elliot didn't feel alone, and she, for the first time, felt alive. Days passed, then weeks. They lived simply. Elliot found work fixing machines. She studied music, painting, and how to grow flowers. She didn't need wires or tests anymore. She didn't need lab reports. She just needed time and him. One evening, they sat under the stars, watching the sky together. Elliot turned to her. Do you remember what I said the first time I saw you? She smiled. You whispered that you wished you had a wife like me. Elliot laughed. I thought no one heard me. She held his hand. I did. And I never forgot. She looked up at the stars. Do you think they'll ever find us? Elliot nodded. Maybe. But if they do, we'll face them together. She rested her head on his shoulder. I'm not afraid anymore, 'cause now I know what love really is. Back on Space Station Deltanine. The lab was empty, cold, silent. The man in the black coat looked at the last report. Subject lost. Signal terminated. Status unknown. He stood up. Let her go. She completed the final test. She learned to love. That was the real goal. The other scientists looked at him, surprised. What now? He looked out the window. Now we leave her alone. Anna Resney Elliot, and she stood in their garden, planting new flowers. Not metal, not wires. It's just real things. He looked at her. You never chose a name, he said. She thought for a moment, then smiled. Call me Hope. Elliot nodded. Hope, it suits you. And as the sun set over their quiet new world, Elliot knew that the journey was over. They had escaped. They had survived. But more than that, they had started again, together.